Hi everyone. I'm Bubbles from Susan's family. Today I'd like to introduce you a cute animal pillow, the Porky Good Fortune charm, for this electronic tutorial. You can search for susud.com on the website and check it out. This pillow consists of the main part and accessories. Start with the main part. The main part is divided into the body, the facial features, limbs and tail. Let's start by learning how to crochet the body. We will start from foundation chain. Work in rounds along the starting chain. Most of this pattern is presented in chart form. Next, I'll teach you how to read the chart. In the chart, R plus number indicates the round number, H plus number indicates the row number. The column for stitch instructions shows the stitch techniques used when crocheting the current round, and the situation of increasing or decreasing stitches. The total stitches column indicates total number of stitches after completing all stitches in this round. Let's start with casting on. Take out the corresponding yarn. The starting chain in the table is 4ch. This means the method of casting on is using chain stitches. Cast on 4 stitches. Pick up the yarn with your right hand. Wrap it around the left little finger once. Then pass it through between the middle finger and index finger. Pinch the yarn tail with the thumb and middle finger of your left hand. Pick up the crochet hook with your right hand. Move the hook between these 2 points. Place the hook underneath the yarn. Wrap the yarn counterclockwise. Pinch the crossing point of the loop with the thumb and middle finger of your left hand. Then position the hook to the left of the yarn. Wrap the yarn counterclockwise. Pull the yarn through the loop on your hook. This slip knot does not count as a stitch. Slightly tighten it. Here, I need to mention something. Because the yarn is special, your hands might get tired while crocheting. When your hands get tired, you can change the way you hold the hook to relieve the strain. Here, I'll teach you 2 ways to hold the hook. The first one is like holding a pen. The second one is like this. Place your hand on the top of the crochet hook and hold it firmly. Switch between these 2 methods while crocheting. Start to crochet chain stitches. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. 1 chain stitch is done. This V shape formed by the slip stitch counts as 1 stitch. Because of the special yarn options here, let's put a marker on the first stitch here. Insert your hook under the left strand of this chain. Place a stitch marker here. If you don't have a stitch marker, you can use a paperclip or safety pin as an alternative. Continue crocheting chain stitches. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. This is the second stitch. You need to crochet 4 stitches in total. Keep it going. The third stitch. Let's place a stitch marker on the third stitch as well. The fourth stitch. That completes our beginning chain. Now let's move on to the first round. Dow 2. This means we'll start crocheting from the second to last chain stitch. The position of this stitch marker is the second to last stitch. The number before the X tells you how many single crochets to make. Here it means we'll make 2 single crochets. Let's start with the first one. Pick up the second chain from the hook, specifically the top half loop. That's the strand right at the stitch marker. Insert your hook. Yarn over. Pull the yarn through. Now there are 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, and draw through in once all the loops on your hook. 1 single crochet is completed. We can see a V-shaped stitch on the right side. That's the stitch of a single crochet. Use a stitch marker to mark this spot. Mark by picking up 2 strands. Now move on to the second single crochet. Insert the hook into the adjacent chain stitch. Again, pick up the top strand. Yarn over. Pull the yarn through. Yarn over again. Draw through the 2 loops on hook. The second single crochet is done. Next, we will do a SC 3-in-1, which means crocheting 3 single crochets in the same place. Insert the hook into the first stitch marked by the stitch marker. One, 2. Three. That's it. We have completed a SC 3-in-1. Let's take a look. On the other side of the chain, there are still 2 strands left. Pick up these 2 strands and crochet. Rotate the piece clockwise by half a turn. Insert into the 2 strands left from the second chain. Which is the insertion point for this single crochet? Be mindful not to insert here. This is the insertion position for the SC 3-in-1. If you really can't find the exact spot, just insert it in the approximate position. Crochet 1 single crochet first. Pay attention. Place the starting yarn tail above the hook and tighten it. Then insert into the 2 strands left from the adjacent chain stitch. Which is the position marked by this stitch marker. Crochet 1 SC 2-in-1, that is, crochet 2 single crochets in the same stitch. One, 2. 1 SC 2-in-1 is completed. The corresponding stitch pattern for this round is now crocheted. Let's place a stitch marker on the last stitch to mark it. Again, we mark by picking up 2 strands. Then finish with a slip stitch in the first stitch. That is, crochet at the marker position. Insert. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. And draw through all loops on the hook once. Slip stitch completed. This is the braid formed by the slip stitch. The slip stitch doesn't count as one stitch. It needs to be tightened. The slip stitch is not indicated in the form. In actual crocheting in rounds, unless there's no special indication, a slip stitch join is required at the end of each round. This way, the first round is complete. The stitch marker on the chain can be removed now. The cast-on tail is inside. This side is the wrong side of the fabric. Turn the fabric over so that the right side faces out. Then cut off the excess tail of the cast-on. When crocheting later, always keep the right side facing out. For convenience in distinguishing, place a stitch marker on the position of the right side as a mark. Now let's crochet the second round. Work 1 chain as the turning chain for the single crochet. The turning chain for the single crochet doesn't count as a stitch, therefore, it is not marked in the chart. In practice, you need to make a turning chain at the beginning of each round, and the turning chain for the single crochet does not count as one stitch. Then, in the first stitch of the previous round, which is also the insertion point of the slip stitch, crochet 1 single crochet. The first stitch of the second round is complete. Place a stitch marker to mark it. Then, in the adjacent stitch, crochet 1 single crochet. Next, there are 3 SC2 in 1. Start with the first one. Crochet 2 single crochets into the left stitch. The first SC2 in 1 is completed. Then, crochet 1 SC2 in 1 into each of the next 2 stitches. Be sure to pay attention. Insert your hook under both loops of the stitch and crochet. After completing, crochet 1 single crochet into each of the 2 left stitches. Then, in the last stitch, make 1 SC2 in 1. Place a marker in the last stitch to mark it. Join with the first stitch using a slip stitch. Insert your hook. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. And draw through all loops on your hook once. Slip stitch completed. Gently tighten. This way, the second round is completed. For the following rounds, please refer to the chart to crochet. In round 4, you will encounter parentheses. This indicates that the stitches inside the parentheses form a group. The times number outside the parentheses means to repeat the group that many times. Any identical parentheses afterward indicate the same meaning. Crochet evenly in the sixth round. It means to crochet one stitch for each stitch. The stitch count is the same as the previous round. Remember to place a marker on the first stitch of each round. I won't repeat this in the following instructions. Next, I'll use this sample to teach you how to count rounds. On the right side of the fabric, there are these circular textures. The number of these textures indicates how many rounds have been crocheted. 1, 2, 3. You can see that there are now 3 textures. This means 3 rounds have been crocheted. This is the method to count rounds. In round 15, we also encounter a SC2 tog. Below, I will demonstrate how to crochet this stitch. Let's take a look at the stitches. One stitch looks like this, 2 strands of yarn. The strand closer to you is the front loop. The strand farther from you is the back loop. Insert the hook into the front loop of the adjacent stitch. That is, this one strand of yarn. Then insert the hook into the front loop of the left stitch. Now there are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and draw through the first 2 loops. There are 2 loops remaining. Yarn over again and pull through once. One SC2 tog is now completed. This method of decreasing by picking up only the front loops is called an invisible decrease. Use this technique to decrease stitches. The spaces between stitches are relatively small. This makes the fabric more delicate overall. Then refer to the chart to finish crocheting the remaining part of the body. Start stuffing as you go from round 19. Finally, leave a 15 cm yarn tail to close the opening. Below, I will demonstrate the closing method. Insert into every stitch. Pull tight. After completing, tie off and weave in the ends neatly. That concludes the body. Next, let's move on to facial features, starting with the nose, blush, tears, eyes and ears. We'll begin by crocheting the nose. We will start from foundation chain. Work in rounds along the starting chain. The new stitch techniques involved include: M means SC3 tog, F means double crochet, T means half double crochet, TV means HDC2 in 1, FV means DC2 in 1, FM means DC3 tog. Now, let's show. Start with a chain stitch. Then from the second stitch from your hook, crochet 4 single crochets. If you can't identify the stitch clearly, you can continue marking with a stitch marker. Here, I will not mark it. After completion, crochet 1 SC2 in 1. 3 single crochets. Finally, in the remaining chain stitch, crochet 1 SC3 in 1. Then go to the other side of the chain stitch. Pick up the 2 remaining loops of the chain stitch. Crochet 2 single crochets first. Then crochet 1 SC3 tog. After crocheting the SC3 tog, finish with 2 single crochets. Then make 1 SC2 in 1. After completion, end with a slip stitch. That completes the first round. You can trim off the excess yarn tail from the starting chain. Next, we will crochet the second round. Square brackets indicate crocheting in the same position. Start by making 3 beginning chains. These 3 chains count as 1 double crochet, correspond to the first stitch of the previous round. Then, in the same position, which is where you insert your hook for the slip stitch from the last round, crochet 1 double crochet. The stitches inside the brackets are now completed. Next, make 2 DC2 in 1. Let's start with the first one. A DC2 in 1 means making 2 double crochets in the same position. The 2 DC2 in 1 are now done. Below, we will again crochet the stitches inside the brackets. First, make 1 double crochet. Then crochet 1 half double crochet in the same position. Next, make 2 HDC2 in 1. Let's start with the first one. Crochet 2 half double crochets in the same position. The 2 HDC2 in 1 are now done. Next, we will again crochet the stitches inside the parentheses. Then, make 5 DC2 in 1. Crochet 1 half double crochet. Next, make 1 DC3 tog. That completes the DC3 tog. Follow the chart to finish the remaining stitches. After completion, end with a slip stitch. That completes the second round. Finally, make a chain to secure, then cut the yarn leaving about a 25 cm tail. That finishes the nose. Next, sew the nose onto the body. Let's take a look at the finished product. Sew the wrong side of the nose to approximately the middle position of the body. It will cover rounds 9 through 11. Now, let's sew. Before sewing, you can use a stitch marker to secure it first. Pay attention to placing the indented position facing down. Then sew along the last round of the nose. After sewing, tie off the yarn tail, and weave it in. Finally, cut about a 15 cm corresponding yarn tail. Embroider the nostrils on the nose. Here I use yarn randomly. First hide the yarn tail inside the body. After completion, weave in the yarn tails. That completes the nose. Next, we will crochet the blush. Let's take a look at the finished product. The blush also starts with the foundation chain method. Then work in rounds along the starting chain. The stitch techniques used have all been demonstrated before. You can refer to the chart to crochet. After crocheting, leave about a 30 cm yarn tail. Then use the corresponding yarn on the wrong side of the blush, slightly towards the edge, evenly sew 3 line segments. Finally, use the yarn tail reserved from the blush, and sew the blush on both sides of the nose. It should cover the 10th to 12th rounds of the body. About 3 stitches away from the nose. When sewing, follow the last round of the blush for the seam. After sewing, hide the yarn tails. Pay attention that when sewing the other blush, the line segments need to be symmetrical. That concludes the explanation for the blush. Next, we will crochet the tiers. Let's take a look at the finished product. The tiers start with a chain stitch for the cast on, then work in rounds along the starting chain. After completing it, place it with the wrong side up, slightly inside and above the blush. Make sure not to cover the line segments on the blush. Once one side of the tear is attached, attach the other side symmetrically using the same method. That concludes the explanation for the tiers. Next, we will crochet the eyes. The eyes also start with the foundation chain method. Then you crochet in rounds along the starting point. Everyone, refer to the chart to complete it. After finishing, attach it above the tiers. Let it overlap slightly with the tiers. Once one side is attached, do the other side in the same way, sewing it on symmetrically. That concludes the explanation for the eyes. Next, we will crochet the ears. The ears are divided into the left ear and the right ear. Both start with the foundation chain method. Then you crochet back and forth along the starting point. Now, let's sew. Below, I will demonstrate using the left ear as an example. Start with a chain stitch. Then work 5 single crochets from the second to last stitch. After completing it, the first row is done. Next, we will work on the second row. Chain 1 to begin. Turn indicates turning the piece over. Turn the fabric. Then work at SC2 in 1. Followed by 4 single crochets. That completes the second row. Now let's move on to the third row. Chain 1 as beginning chain. Turn the piece over, then refer to the chart and work the corresponding stitches. After completing it, the third row is done. Next, everyone can follow the chart to complete rows 4 and 5. I've already finished them here. Finally, let's work on the 6th round. Start with a chain 1 as beginning chain. Then turn the piece. Work 7 single crochets first. Then work at SC3 in 1. Follow up by working 13 single crochets evenly along this edge. When you encounter yarn tails, make sure to weave them in. Lastly, work at SC2 in 1. After completing, make a slip stitch join. That completes the 6th round. Finally, leave a tail of about 20 centimeters and cut the yarn. You can trim off the excess starting yarn tail now. That finishes one left ear. Next, sew the ear onto the body. Let's take a look at the finished product. The ears are sewn on both sides of the body. They should roughly align with the starting point. Make sure the right side of the last round is facing up. The 2 ears should be symmetrical. Before sewing, you can use a stitch marker to hold them in place temporarily. Start by sewing the base of the ear first. Then bring the thread between rounds 5 and 6. Secure the top of the ear to the body slightly as well. Now, let's show the sewing technique. First, thread the reserved yarn tail into the sewing needle. After securing the base of the ear, bring the thread inside the body to the corresponding position. Secure the top of the ear to the body. Then hide the thread inside the body. That's how you finish sewing one ear. Everyone can follow the same method to sew the other ear. That concludes the section on ears. Next, we'll talk about the limbs, which consist of the hands and feet. There are 2 of each. To crochet the hands, we will start from foundation chain and continue crocheting around the starting chain. Now, let's show. Let's start crocheting the hand. First, use a chain stitch to create the foundation and crochet the first row. After finishing, leave about 15 centimeters of yarn tail. I've already prepared this part in advance. Next, we'll crochet the second row. Take the corresponding yarn. Then join the yarn at the first stitch of the first row. Make a chain stitch to begin. Then crochet 1/2 double crochet in the same position where you joined the yarn. Secure the yarn tail. Then make a CH1 picket. Next, crochet 1 chain stitch. Make a slip stitch in the same position where you joined the yarn. Continue crocheting while referring to the chart. First, make a slip stitch in the adjacent stitch. Then create a chain stitch to begin. Crochet 1/2 double crochet in the same position. Then make another ch1 picket. After completing, crochet 1 chain stitch. Finally, make a slip stitch. After completing, leave a yarn tail and fasten off. Weave in the ends to hide the yarn tails. That's how you finish one hand. Next, let's sew the hands. Here is the finished product. Sew the hands 2 rounds below the blush, slightly towards the inside. Sew with a slight angle while attaching. Use the reserved yarn tail from the first row of the hand to sew it on. If you want the hand to fit closely to the body, you can apply a small amount of glue to secure it. Now, I will demonstrate the sewing method. Thread the reserved yarn tail from the first row of the hand into a sewing needle. There are no specific requirements for the sewing method, just make sure it's secure. After completing, weave in the ends to hide the yarn tails. Also hide the starting yarn tail. That's how you finish sewing one hand. Sew the other arm using the same method. Next, let's crochet the feet. We will start from foundation chain. Work in rounds along the starting chain. Now, let's show. First, refer to the form and crochet the first round. Next, let's move on to the second round. Start by crocheting 4 chain stitches. Then, make a slip stitch in the second chain from the hook. Move on to crocheting a treble crochet. Work this stitch into the same position as the previous round slip stitch. One treble crochet is now completed. Next, crochet 1 double crochet in the same position. Then, work 3 DC3 in 1. Start with the first one. That is, crochet 3 double crochets in the same position. This completes 1 DC3 in 1. Finish the remaining 2. After completing them, crochet 1 double crochet in the last stitch. 1 treble crochet. And 1 ch1 picot. Finally, make 2 more chain stitches. End with a slip stitch. Finally, leave a 15 cm tail, and cut the yarn. Trim off the excess yarn tail from the starting chain. This completes one foot. Use the same method to crochet the other foot. After finishing both feet, sew them onto the body. They should cover round 16-17 of the body. When sewing, place the wrong side facing up. Position the notches slightly outward. Sew along the last row of the foot. Sew the other foot in a symmetrical position. That concludes the feet. Lastly, we will make the tail. We will start from a foundation chain and crochet along the starting chain. After completing it, leave a 15 cm tail. Sew it to the end of the body, approximately in the middle position. You can twist the tail into this shape. This completes the tail. This concludes the body section. Next, let's talk about accessories. They include the bump and the persimmon. Start with crocheting the bump. Use the magic ring method. Crochet along the starting ring. Now, let's show. Begin with an adjustable magic ring. Then crochet 6 single crochets into the large space. Tighten the center of the piece. Then finish with a slip stitch. That completes the first round. Continue following the chart to crochet the remaining part. After finishing, leave a yarn tail of about 20 centimeters. That concludes the crocheting of the bump. Once the bump is done, sew it onto the top of the body. It should cover rounds 2 to 5 of the body. On the slightly left side, before sewing, you can secure it with a stitch marker first. Then sew along the last round of the bump. Add a small amount of stuffing while sewing. Now, let's show. Thread the reserved yarn tail of the bump into a sewing needle. Sew the last round of the bump to the body. There's no specific requirement for the sewing method, just make sure it's secure. When there's a little left, stuff in a bit more filling. After completing, tie a knot and weave in the ends. That completes the sewing of the bump. Next, we'll talk about the persimmon, the main body, the stem, and the handle. Start with the main body. For the main body, use the magic ring method, and follow the magic ring form a loop. While crocheting, stuff with an appropriate amount of fiber fill. Everyone, crochet it according to the form. After completing, leave about 20 centimeters of yarn tail for closing the opening and sewing. Now let me demonstrate the closing method. After closing, transition the yarn tail to the starting point. Then sew it onto the bump. That concludes the main body of the persimmon. Next, let's crochet the stem. Use the magic ring technique. Then follow the magic ring form a loop. Now, let's show. Start with a slip knot. Then crochet the stitches in the brackets. Chain 1 to begin. Crochet 1/2 double crochet into the larger space of the cast on. Move on to crochet 1 chain stitch. Finally, crochet 1 slip stitch into the large space. That completes one group within the brackets. Then follow the chart to finish the remaining groups. After completing, leave a tail of about 15 centimeters and cut the yarn. That's how you make the stem. Once the stem is done, sew it onto the ending position of the persimmon. When sewing, keep the right side facing up. There's no specific requirement for the sewing method. Just make sure it's secure. After finishing, hide the ends inside the main body of the persimmon. That concludes the stem. Lastly, we will crochet the handle. We will start from foundation chain. Crochet along the starting chain. Now, let's show. First, cut a piece of corresponding yarn. About 30 centimeters, take 2 strands for crocheting. Then refer to the chart to crochet. After completing, sew it onto the stem. Once sewing is done, just tidy up the ends. That completes the handle. This concludes the entire persimmon. Up to this point, we have completed the entire pillow. If you have any questions during the process, don't hesitate to reach us via our website, Susan's Family, supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next episode.